Right, looks like it is recording. Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you all. I'm happy that you could join us on this beautiful afternoon, at least here in Helena. It is finally feeling like summer, we're glad to report. So hopefully you all are enjoying some summer weather in your areas as well. We have, we have some great updates. It does look like Whitney was able to join us. I know she was maybe going to be running a few minutes late, but it looks like she's here. So we're looking forward to hearing from her and some updates on those applications. But just to start with, I will make this a little bigger for everyone. Let's do a bit of an attendance roll call for the day, see who we have with us. Want to make sure I capture everyone's attendance for today. Alba, are you here? I haven't seen Alba yet. Is Alba here? Oh, okay. Brad. No, I don't see Brad. Chaz, I see Chaz, I think. Hey, Chaz. Welcome. Sue Fury. Sue's usually here. I don't see her just yet. Catherine Walter is here. Hi, good to see you. Rebecca Richards. See Rebecca either. And Jennifer Duray. Don't see Jennifer. Stephanie Keith. Clifton Grilly. Hi there, good to see you. Jean Curtis. Not here. I'm just going to open my email just to make sure. Last week we had that trouble with the different links, so I just want to make sure I'm not missing someone having a little struggle getting it. Doesn't look like it, so that's good. Lisa Gunderson here. Robin. See Robin. Louisa. Hi there, good to see you. Amanda. And then Sarah. I don't see Sarah either. Sometimes we have some people join in, and I know since we changed the time from a few months ago, but we changed the time from 4:30 back to 4. I know that's been a little confusing for some people. So we will just chat and welcome anyone who comes in. As an opening activity, why don't you community or committee members, let's share just if you have a quick 30-second end of school year, looking forward to summer type of activity that you like to do or you like to do with your family or your friends. I'll start off by saying I had a friend just invite me to do a float. And so I think that's one of the summertime activities I enjoy doing here in Montana. So if you want to just say, let's take a quick second to go around our virtual room here and share a fun summer activity. Or school's out for the summer. We're going to enjoy some time outside, hopefully. What do you all like to do? And I would like our committee members to go first, and then our OPI folks that are on the call can jump in after. And I see Jennifer jumped on too. So let's start. Louisa, you are up on the top of my screen. So how about we start with you?
I just love the fact of being outside without freezing. I know you can do this any time of the year, but I really love doing it in the summer, going to the hot springs and just relaxing.
That's a great one. Absolutely. Thanks, Lou. Clifton, you're next on my screen. How about?
We started our first weekend after the boys were out of school is we went down and took a ride on the Gates of the Mountains tour, and my son learned a lot of stuff that kind of fell into place from his first year as Montana history, so he really enjoyed that.
That's fantastic. Excellent. Chaz, you're next.
This last weekend I went and saw Big Timber waterfalls and the Natural Bridge, so I like finding waterfalls and hiking. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. I have not been there, so it sounds like that would be something to put on my list for this summer. So thanks for that good reminder. Catherine Walter, I see you next.
My family does a lot of camping during the summer, but because we homeschool year round, we usually take advantage of spring and fall when kids are in school and just do things when all the kids are in school and they're not crowded.
I see that. That sounds like a good plan. Let's see, Jennifer, I see that you logged on. We're just sharing, I don't know if you heard this, we're just sharing a favorite summer activity to do here in Montana.
Typically we do a lot of camping with my family, but have not done any so far this year.
It's been a little cool. I mean, we've had some warm days, but it's finally feeling sort of like wanting to be outside overnight, I think.
Yep.
It's starting to get that way. Yeah, good. John Gordon, how about you next? What do you like to do in the summer? Our OPI, one of our OPI.
Well,
goals.
I used to go before I had the empty nest syndrome going on. We used to go camping, fishing, and all sorts of outdoor stuff. But now that we are new to the empty nest thing, we get a chance to rewrite. So I'm kind of excited for that opportunity. Maybe some live music concerts. Obviously, some sightseeing of the Helena area since I'm new to the area, and just checking that out. So.
Excellent. I am not too far behind you. Our youngest just finished her sophomore year, so we are approaching that time as well. So I'll be curious how it goes. Need some tips. Kira, how about you? Kira's online. How about some summer activities?
We are filling the pool as we speak. So we finally got a giant, like 16-foot pool last year and got it all put together and put up yesterday. And my husband was like, why do we do this to ourselves? And I said, because that is my sanity over the summer. So it's finally filling and over halfway there now. So kids are really excited.
I bet. And the neighborhood kids too, probably.
I was smart. I put it in the backyard so nobody who goes by can see it back there. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then Whitney, how about you? Oh, you're still muted.
Sorry about that. I like to do that. Yeah, our family likes to go camping a lot, kayaking, floating, hiking, all sorts of things. And we actually signed up for the kids free bowling this summer at the bowling alley. So if you guys have kids, you should go do that. It's a good deal.
That is a
and it
great
keeps them
reminder.
busy. Yeah. So
that's a great reminder. Do you know what ages that goes for, Whitney?
I think it goes till 16.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah. So
yeah, I heard something about that. Yeah. That's a good reminder. Yeah. Excellent.
Good for the kids. So
for sure. And a good activity. I mean, it's indoors in summer, but if there's some smoky days and you really can't be outside, that's just a good one to know you can be inside for. So that's good to know. All right. Well, thanks everyone for taking a minute to share our fun summer activities. As the sun is shining so much, I just couldn't resist to dream a little bit of those outdoors fun things to do with our friends and family. So let's see. As we know, the purpose of this committee has been to review and provide feedback on the ESA implementation. We're going to give you some updates on that here in a little bit. And then there is the litigation, the case that is against the bill. And then also there is a hearing. We've learned the hearing is June 27th. So there is a hearing June 27th. We don't know anything more about that, but after June 27th, we'll have some news for you all, I would imagine. So we'll see, but there is that coming. So that's the update for that. We do actually have a date, June 27th. For application updates, Whitney, do you mind sharing sort of just, the numbers of applications that we had? As we know, this application, our first application window closed June the 1st. And so Whitney's going to give us just a brief update on the final numbers of that application window.
Yeah. So we had a really good turnout. We had a total of 45 applicants, and so far we've approved 22 of them. So I mean, the list, it's a good turnout for this first round. I'm pretty impressed. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And part of some of the applicants, Whitney, if I remember right, didn't realize that they had to unenroll from public school next year. So after they submitted their information and realized, to be part of this program right now, they would have to unenroll. That wasn't a fit for them. So some of those weren't that they weren't eligible. They just decided it wasn't quite what they had thought it was going to be when they applied. I think that would be some of those differences there. Does anyone have any questions about this round of applications? We will open the next round of applications November the 1st. And in fact, I even had a call today from a parent who just saw it on the website and asked about that. And I said the applications will open again November 1st. So, but any questions on the applications?
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I applied for my sons, and the difference from the chart that was given on how much we would be getting, I think it was like about $800 difference. Is that because it goes to the administration fees for OPI?
It is, Clifton, and we realize that the chart that, and Whitney, please feel free to jump in if I missay this, the chart that we had presented to the legislature, the preliminary chart in the beginning of that we had sort of shared early on, that was the chart we'd gotten from finance. And we realized it hadn't taken out that 5% administrative fee in that total. It was just, this is the total amount for this student, but it does need to get reduced by that 5% amount. Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be that difference. And those are just preliminary. We tried to be clear, like they're preliminary because we, want to make sure we have them all right going on. But yeah, that's a great question.
And then second question is, so this disenrolling, you do that by contacting your county superintendent, or how does that work?
So yeah, that is an excellent question, and it's going to be something that I think that we're, we had a couple of questions about, but yes, so there's still statutes for, compulsory attendance in Montana. 20-5-109, for example, is the compulsory attendance statute. And so if you're going to be, not in a private school, then you do need to notify your county superintendent that you'll be homeschooling your students. If they're going to a private school, then the private school takes that notification generally to the superintendent, but you want to make sure that that is accounted for. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Winnie, did I represent that properly?
You did, yep.
Good. Okay. She's here to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Catherine, Walter, yeah, go ahead.
So families that made the initial deadline for application, if they were not approved initially, but they're still working on getting some paperwork in, they're not going to be rejected later, are they? As long as they're still working on getting their paperwork in?
Well, so I guess, and Whitney might be able to answer this. I think it depends. So I know we have a couple of families that we're still waiting for. They had submitted most things by that June 1st due date, and they're still kind of waiting for some documentation and have all of those families turned in that documentation, Whitney, that we were waiting for those applications from this window.
Yes, most of them have. I think I have 2 applicants out there that possibly could be sending me stuff, but we have that 30 days, correct?
Yep.
To notify them. So
yep, and we just really they have a little bit of time before we have to really get that contract out and ready. Otherwise,
exactly.
Catherine, then they'll just have to wait and kind of reapply in November at that next application window.
Okay.
So hopefully that answers the question for you. Any other questions about the application? And I think just as the steering committee, as we move into next year, we hope that you all will continue to work with us for next year. We'll talk about that sort of at the end. But I think one of the things that we might have some adjustments and additions to add to the application that we'll consider, and Whitney's been kind of capturing some of those ideas, and we'll kind of get your feedback on that as we move through. But we think there may be a couple other pieces that we would, may need to include on that. But overall, we really received the information that we needed to determine the eligibility requirements according to the law. So our application was successful overall. We really had the information that we needed in there. We just might want to tweak a couple of things, I think, in the next window, but nothing too significant by any means. All right, our next order of business this evening is our contract updates. So Whitney, do you want to talk about that just a little bit? I didn't quite, and you're welcome to, or I can. Yeah.
No, that's okay. I've been working with Heather, who's our contracts manager, on setting up contracts. So those should be coming out in the next week or so. I just have to give her a little bit more information, but yeah, everything's been sent over to her and we should be good to go there.
And families, just a clarifying, sort of question and comment is families that have more than one student that they've applied for and are eligible would get a separate contract for each student. So just FYI, for anyone listening that might be in that situation, you'll receive a separate contract for each student. Per the law, we have to keep those very separate. So that's part of that separation. And I think, does anyone have questions about the contracts as they're getting ready to come out? There's probably a few, the bulk will be coming out earlier, I think, Whitney, but again, we have those couple, Catherine, that you were sort of asking about that are sort of, maybe coming a little bit along behind. And that's why we have that 30 days to get that contract to them. And then they have to have that back to us by a certain amount of time. So that's why we do run out of time for this application period, just because of those contractual deadlines and getting that ready. But I think we're in good shape for almost everyone for that. Any other questions about the contracts?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When it comes to enforcement of the contract, is that going to be handled similarly if you have like a dispute with like an IEP, or how does that work? If there's if something happens that both parties or one party does not agree with something within the contract, how is that handled?
Yeah, that is a great question. Well, so you have the opportunity, so the contract comes as is. And so obviously, if there's something in it that you don't like, you don't have to sign the contract. That's the first start. But if you sign the contract, then the parties are sort of locked in the OPI. And basically what we've kind of said in our handbook, and I sort of opened our, see what we've got here for the handbook. Here we go. See what it says here. I kind of feel like we have something in here. The contract. I feel like, oh, let me go a little further. I think it's the next page. Sorry, everyone. I just don't want to scroll too much for you. I'm gonna scroll. Oh, it's past the expenses. I was just looking at this one. Here we go. So it's basically for the OPI, it's if they're not complying with the terms, if there's something, we'll send you a notice like, hey, we've noticed that you aren't complying with whatever these terms are in this contract. And you kind of have a moment to respond back, or you're just terminated from the program is how that works. For you, it would go, it's not like the special education, it's not a due process. You would just need to have a lawyer look at the contract and then advise you on what you wanted to do in response to that contract. So it's like that legal document. So that would be the parent, you would look at that and have your lawyer give you advice on that, if that makes sense. If you had questions. So yeah.
Okay, so there's not any sort of pre-set up arbitration process.
No, it actually follows, what it would follow is the sort of, if you're terminated from the program, it can, if we terminate you for some reason that you don't agree with, it follows the map of the Montana Administrative Procedures Act for a hearing. So yeah, so it's kind of that similar arbitration, probably a little bit different, but similar to the special ed arbitration for, due process kind of thing. But yeah, okay. So it follows that procedure. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good. Yeah. Any other questions on contracts? I don't think so. All right. Administrative rules. So we have the administrative rules. You can see here are, let me see, are open and ready for public comment. If you remember, when we first looked over this legislation, it gave a very specific list of items that the OPI needed to write rules, administrative rules around. And we wrote that. We wrote those, crafted those rules, and they are now at the Secretary of State. They're open for public comment. In a week from today, next Monday, we're holding a Zoom meeting and public comment meeting where people can come and make public comment about these rules. And these are just a lot of the rules of sort of that background information that you have that we've talked about, just sort of how this program runs. you are totally welcome to take a look at this. This is public, this is online, it's on our ESA website, links right here to these rules. So you can take a look through. They're not long. It's just basically it's our finance process, a little bit of the application process, sort of the things that the handbook outlines, putting it into this administrative rule format. We did decide, the Secretary of State recently has moved away from sort of having sort of headings here. We have like one application process and the second one is the student eligibility, but we really felt like because that law really had us, this was limited to what we could do for these administrative rules. We wanted to really align it up with those so that we knew we were meeting those requirements in the law. So that's why we have it that way. You can see the little headings listed there and then the information underneath and the formula for the calculation and the notification and how that reimbursement happens. So you can see it's not long. I believe that's the end of it. So feel free, if you have any public comment on them, please feel free. You can email or jump into the Zoom or come to Helena here to the office. We'll be holding the hearing here. Our attorney, Rick, who is often on the committee meeting with us, will be holding this hearing. Just wanted you to know that was there. So if you have interested people in your communities, please share out this information. Again, if you look right here on our main education savings account page, you just click here to find the rules right here. So here they are right here. The public hearing and public comment on those administrative rules right there. So, and information on the meeting. And then also if you would like to submit public comment via an email, that's available here at this button. So, any questions on the administrative rules? Okay. So next steps, we have come to the end of this school year, but our ESA is pretty busy. We are going to be heading into the summer. We'll be getting those contracts going back and forth. And then Whitney and the finance team will be gathering that information of those participating families and sharing that information back with our districts in August. So the school districts will get their base payment, then we will send them the number of students who are participating in the program, and then they send that back to the OPI. Then the OPI uses that to set up those trust accounts. So what are you thinking? We had kind of had this was sort of, we had scheduled through to the end of the school year. We're now in June. For the committee, I know that when we get into that reimbursement time, when those reimbursements start coming in, we could probably really use your insights and expertise on any questions that we have about that sort of in general. I know we spent a lot of time as this committee talking about those eligible and ineligible expenses. You all had great insights and thoughts on that. That really helped us with crafting our handbook. But I know as we go, we'll probably have more questions. What are you thinking? What would be good timing? I don't know, July can be tricky because about this time in a month is going to be that holiday weekend in the middle of summer. So I know sometimes that's a tricky time for families, especially those of you who like camping and being out of doors, which sounds like all of us. So what would you think about maybe reconvening again, not next month, but in August and kind of following up? We do have that June 27th hearing date, so there may be some information for me to share. I don't know how quickly after that hearing date we would hear something to share in July, but I just know that could be tricky for timing. What are your thoughts on waiting till August for our next steering committee meeting? What do you think? Does that seem pretty good, or what do you feel as a committee? Sounds pretty good. Thumbs up. Yeah. Chaz, thumbs up. Great. Jennifer, what do you think? Good. Okay to kind of do this Monday, but in August, which would be, probably what, the first Monday or second Monday of August?
Yep, that works for me.
Okay, sounds good. We'll do this 4 o'clock time, then we'll follow up. And just keep an eye on our website, at the end of June, beginning of July. If there are any updates that we need to post on the website, we'll post them there. And feel free, of course, to reach out to Kira or Whitney or myself with any questions. John, we can certainly answer those along the way, but we'll just look forward to reconvening as a steering committee back in August. And what topics would you like to discuss in August? I already threw out the reimbursement because I know that's going to be a big one. But any other topics you would like to discuss in August that you can think of that we can put on the next agenda?
I have one.
Yeah.
So we're active members on the steering committee. There's the website that OPI has a lot of information on about a lot of different programs. What kind of outreach is being done to let parents know than just word of mouth for this program?
Right.
I think that I personally, personal opinion, is that some administration fees probably should go to some sort of either advertisement or um, some sort of branding to that this it does exist, so that way, because there could be a lot of families that really could use this program out there, but they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, that if it doesn't make it to you, it's not benefiting them. So
Right.
I think that would be definitely a solid topic. I would like to see discussed is how is this being put out to folks? Because I know school districts, I don't know if they would really put that out, especially during like IEPs. But I don't know if there's like forms that we could submit when they have to do they get the IDEA safeguards. Is here's also these other programs that exist of consideration.
Right.
That's just an idea, but putting that on the topics, I think would help.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And, Kira might be able to speak to this a little bit. I know that the superintendent has done a couple of, uh, interviews with interested journalists. And so I know there've been some news stories, things like that. I know that's come across. I know, Kira, you've got some cross-referencing on your parent page. You might have some other communication marketing ideas too.
Yeah, I mean, I have it on my parent resources page, and I have gotten phone calls asking about it, but I do agree. I think there could be more outreach. Would
I
be
think
really helpful.
I think it's a wonderful topic to kick off in August because we have the next window opening in November. So that would be really good time to really, so maybe all of you put that in your thinking caps for the summer. And when we come back together, think of some ideas that then we can, really you as the committee can start to maybe, volunteer. Oh, I'll share it with this over here. I'll do this. I can design that. I can do that. So maybe some of you have some skill sets to bring to the committee to help out with that. So Clifton, I think that's great thinking. Yeah. Any other topics? Yeah,
I was out in Jefferson County this weekend, and I was talking to a local politician running for county commissioner's office, and this topic came up, and they didn't know anything about it. He was like, "What?" So I think it's great that we have information, but I can tell you, my parents in the special needs world, they don't have time to go to the website and look for a parent resource page.
Yeah.
In a nice way, it needs to be right up front. And then the ones who do know about it, there's so much misinformation. So I think maybe like a cheat sheet for parents, a very snippety PSA for the parent. This was an election year. It is an election year. So I'm sorry, people are not listening to our superintendent who's running for another office. It's kind of been lost in the fluff. And it is so important that our parents understand all of their options in its entirety, that they're not making knee-jerk reactions because it kind of sounds okay, where my neighbor told me it was like this, but I didn't know how to enroll my kid. I didn't know my kid would need all eligibility of services. I didn't know. And I think this is supposed to build blocks, not put up walls. And we need to really, I love it. Get it out there, get those PSAs, but really in a very concrete fashion. This is what it is. This is what it's not. These are your rights. These are maybe some of the things you might have to give up. I know a lot of schools have those Wednesday packets. I know they do in Great Falls. That's a great way to get it out to the parents in a way that they will look at. And then I know there's tons of homeschooling co-ops and other programs that some of you belong to that needs to go out to as well.
Those are fantastic ideas. And I think that we are really at that point to really make a plan in August. So I really appreciate all your expertise. I saw Catherine's hand first and then John after that. Yeah. Not that we have to raise hands. Go ahead, Catherine.
Have we figured out any way for those that have already left the school systems to be enrolled in this and to come into it? Because that's what I'm hearing is from families that have already left the school system that want to participate, and there's no way for them to do so. And they are extremely frustrated because they can't participate and they're left out there in limbo land. This is something that they would have wanted and that they would have jumped in on, but they just took their kid out 2 months ago, so they're too early.
Well, the ones that have applied, Catherine, that were within this school year have been, if everything else counts, they're eligible. But yes, for anyone last year or the year before, you're exactly right. Right. So
they're frustrated. They're like, I didn't wait long enough. Like,
yeah.
I needed to let my kids suffer just a little longer and we could have used this.
And that's something that we have.
Is that something that's going to be fixable? Can we fix that?
It's fixable, I think, in the 2025 legislative session. I think that's probably fixable during this upcoming session. I think the legislators would have to fix that law. It could be.
Are we putting pressure on them to do so?
We can't, we sure can. And I think that's part of your communication plan as this committee. Like we need to outreach to our local legislators, perhaps, that may be something that you all are kind of,
Can we put
considering.
that on the agenda for the next meeting?
Absolutely.
How do we put the pressure on now to make that happen? Because that is the number one complaint I'm hearing is people that have already left the system are frustrated that this does not include them.
Yeah. And I would say Whitney probably would echo that.
Yeah, I was gonna throw out there that I am keeping track of all the applicants that I've received that they were not enrolled for this past year, so that we can kind of bring that up later, because I know a lot of families are out there that really need it, but unfortunately,
yes,
the way the law was written. So I'm encouraging even people who are interested, I'm encouraging them to apply so that we have that to show,
Oh, I've been telling them not to apply because they wouldn't be eligible.
Well, see, I had a few calls and I said it wouldn't hurt to apply so that we can have that in our backlogs,
I had like
we're
4
interested.
families.
Yeah.
Well, and Catherine, encourage them to apply in the November one, right?
Okay.
Because that'll still be
So
ahead
tell
of
them
that
to apply
legislative
for-
session.
I was
Have it
thinking,
documented.
Yeah.
and it's a really good idea.
I will.
I know what I'm thinking.
So in the meantime,
better start
maybe
working on it.
going ahead and having their districts evaluate their students to make sure that they are eligible for IEP so that they're ready whenever that they would be eligible for the program.
Yeah. Well, and that has to be by student request, and it's, district, the district needs to respond to that parent request. Absolutely.
Yes, like they'd have to already be determined eligible for an IEP, but the parents could start that ball rolling now.
Correct.
So that they would have that paperwork ready whenever it would open up to them.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
And John, I saw your hand up. Did you have a question or comment for us?
It kind of piggybacks off of Clifton's comment with getting the word out there and even his own situation as far as I don't know, Christy, if this is an option for us or not as an agency, but do we have a way to communicate with the county superintendents? Since homeschoolers have to or are required to register with the county superintendent, that might be an easier push. I know we're just brainstorming for topics and things, but it might be an easier push to come out of their office as opposed to the school district that they just left to get that information out. Just a thought.
Yeah, and there is an association of county superintendents. So absolutely coming back to, I think Louisa suggested this sort of quick guide, parent quick guide or something like that. That would be some type of information that I think if you created something like that as the committee, that would be exactly along those lines. So good thinking, John. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking as a homeschooler, counties actually send you out a packet every spring, and it includes all of the federal programs that your kids are eligible for. And would you like more information on them? And you send it back and you check off what you're interested in. And then the school districts are supposed to reach out to you. And that's how you find out about things like the special needs programs and free lunch programs and whatnot. So it'd be really easy for them just to slip another piece of paper in there for you to have. Super easy.
That's a really good insight, Catherine. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. Good thinking. That's why we have the committee. That's collectively working together. So I've made a list of these communication ideas, just this quick brainstorm today. I'd like you all to consider, keep thinking about it over the summer. Think of your strengths that you have to bring to the committee that you can share out. And when we convene in August, I think one of the really great ideas is to really move forward with this communication plan and have that in place. So I think that's really wonderful. We'll also talk about reimbursements because that will be a big topic going on at that time. Any other topics that we would want to add to our next agenda? I think those two are going to keep us pretty busy, but I'm super happy for other ideas as well. You can always email myself, Kira, Whitney for topics for the next meeting. Don't feel like you have to think of it right now. We certainly can come around to that. And just keep an eye on that webpage. At the end of this month, beginning of July, if there's any updates, we will keep that updated there on that website. And in the meantime, I hope each of you I should say, Whitney, do you have anything else to share out, or Kira or John, anything else to share out from the OPI to the team?
I think I'm good. I think we covered it all.
Well, I really hope that all of you get to enjoy some outside time in this beautiful, beautiful weather we're having here. Enjoy the beautiful scenery here. It's one of the things that makes Montana unique, and we all do enjoy it. So please do that. Reach out anytime. We're here. You get a little time back in the day as we kind of have our year-end wrap-up meeting here. Thank you, each of you, for your thoughtful comments, your participation. We certainly couldn't have gotten this up and off the ground and had a successful application period without your input. You were very valuable. And I just, on behalf of our team here, I just want to say thank you, each and every one of you. And we'll look forward to more great work just in a couple of months, and expect that email reminder to come soon to get that on your calendars, and we'll put those agenda items together. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.